Hello all, good evening. Here we'll be discussing two questions of the first test. So let's look at the first question. So the first question says, critically evaluate the claim that sociology can be considered as a science. So basically it is asking, is sociology a science, kind of a question, and it is one of the common questions and one of the prominent chapter that has been in the sociology for the in the first unit. So how you will be approaching this question will be like it is in a short question type, right? So short question type means it is like a 10 marker, so you have to write in 150 words. So 150 words means more or less two paragraphs, right? Don't focus more on like writing an intro, body, conclusion in this part of the questions and all, because it will get it will be crossing the word limits in regard with that. So just come directly to the question and finish it. So first you have to focus on the keyword, that is critically evaluate. So critically evaluate means you have to put in the arguments that justify that yes, sociology is science, and why sociology is not being considered as science is also the second point that you have to write about it. That's the two main things that you have to focus on. So coming why it is considered as science, sociology. First, because of its rigorous research methods that it uses, right? Statistical analysis, surveys, experiments, and all that. Further, the theoretical frameworks that it develops from these research methods and all, like suppose the theory of Weber or the theory of Marx, right? So these are the theories that they have developed through the research involved while doing that. Further, it also goes on to predict the social phenomena that exist. Like for example, the Durkheim goes on to explain uh, through his analysis of reports that he takes out from the FIR reports in and around in the Europe, to come to a conclusion that why the suicide rates are so high, and he goes on to give a theory on that, right? So he predicts a social phenomena has been predicted. So now these are the very key components, are one of the key components why sociology is considered as science. First, rigorous research method, theoretical frameworks can be developed, and it predicts the social phenomena, right? Second will be the argument against the uh, scientificity of sociology. First is it is a subjective in nature, right? For me, a certain perspective will be there. For the other person, different perspective will be there. Like suppose if you consider the case of Weber, right, or C. Wright Mills, right? So they came up with a different notion of non-positivist approach, kind of a thing, wherein they come up to say that there is an you have to understand the individual in order to understand the society, not the society in order to understand the individual, right? So this subjective understanding goes against the concept that yes, sociology is science. Then limited control over variables. You have a very limited control over other variables that exist in that particular environment, right? You can't perform a sociological theory or research in a very controlled environment, right? That is one other point which goes against it. Then the ethical consideration for it, like privacy, informed consent, and all that, right? So directly coming to the point is the key in the short questions. Similarly, one more question is explore the overlap between sociology and anthropology. Very specific, sticking to the key points. And here I have given one a diagram, right? So you can use these diagrams too in order to explain that. So what will happen is key. Just a second. Excuse me. Sorry. So that what will happen is it will save your time, and it will be like very much to the point, right? So what is it? Anthropology is basically the study of past, and it studies the social life and social changes and its consequences. So what is the common point for them? It involves a systematic study of social life and culture in order to understand the cause and consequences of human behavior. It helps in understanding that cause and consequences. Further, Further, you can substantiate these with the examples. Like suppose here I have given one example. You can also use the example like how the present private property concept is being used, was like in the modern times is being used to understand how in the primitive society the primitive communism existed, right? So how did they existed, was being understand by this. So these are like, this is an example that I've been taking from one of the copy that I was investigating. I found it a very interesting example, right? So yes, you have to like come up with these certain examples in order to explain that yes, this is how sociology is related to anthropology or any other subject like political science or history, right? So these questions you have to give a bit of theory, but you also have to give an example for it also. Like suppose history comes, then you have to come up with an example of Marx, right? Explaining that. If political science comes, then you can go with the example of Weber, right? So these things you have to substantiate it, and it's not necessary that you have to only stick to the international thinkers. You can also come to the thinkers of Indian uh, society, I mean Indian thinkers too, right? Then coming to the section B, which is a 20 marker, and you don't like, you have to be within 300 words. You have to write this answer. So now here you can divide the answers into an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. Your introduction will be briefly explaining what are you going to write in the body part, right? And then these introductions arguments you will be presenting in a very clean and clear crisp manner in the body, and then you will be coming up with a conclusion where you will be summing up all this, right? Sorry, I'm just having a cold, so I mean sorry for the interruptions. Yeah, so here the question is, how do social economic structure processes impact the social relations, and how does sociology contribute to the study of economic phenomena? So it is a two, there are two parts in the question. Like first is economic structure and processes impact the social relation, right? Economic structure and processes. Economic structure straight away in the mind, the theory of Marx comes in mind, right? But here, I mean, you can put one aspect of Marx, but if you will be totally aligned towards the Marx theory, it will be a wrong answer. I mean, you will be writing it in a wrong way. Then the second part is, how does sociology contribute to the study of economic phenomena? Both the ways, right? So like, what are the key impacts that economic structure puts on the social relations? So first is like distribution of resources, right? How it has been distributed. Then the social stratification that exists in the society because of this economic structure, and the social institutions that exist because of this. For example, the need of income can lead to the delayed marriage and family formations, right? Then social movements that happen because of this, Sanskritization that we call, right? Then how it, the contribution of sociology in regard with this. Now these are the impacts that happen into this, and how sociology is impacting this economic phenomena, that we'll try to see. So how it is, it gives a theoretical frameworks to these particular economic phenomena, right? Masses theory, very clear cut. Then it also substantiates with a quantitative and qualitative research method in order to understand how these things are being utilized, are being made into, like, exist in the particular society. These methods provide an insight into the nuisance of the social life and the ways in which economic factor influence the individual choices and the behavior, like how C. Wright Mills uses it, right? Mead, है ना? Critical analysis and economic discourse. It gives a economic discourse, a debate on it, like how, like suppose this critical analysis helps to inform policy debates and contributes to the development of more equitable and just economic system. you'll be able to understand that where is the difference that has been occurring, where we have to like we get to know okay, like what bunch of people are holding the maximum amount of resources and all, right? So it gives a it raises a debate among the particular society in order to discuss on this particular topics, and then you will conclude it, right? So very crisp, very short, to the point. That's the key of writing these answers. Then the second question that I'll be discussing is in the long part is, how can a sociological perspective contribute to our understanding of historical events and processes? So now this can be like how I was explaining, like the relation between how overlap sociology and anthropology, right? Here the same thing is how sociology and historical history are overlapped, right? And here you have to provide an example. History marks that I was just talking about. So just like directly sticking to the point, what is sociology, how does, what is history, how it is, and then directly jumping to the examples of sociological contribution to the historical understanding directly, because this is the, I mean, this is how you will be explaining these particular parts, these overlappings are these particular how these both are related to each other. So the revolution and social change, social movements and historical changes that are happening, social stratification and historical inequalities that exist in the societies in the Middle Age or in the primitive age, and then the cultural and historical developments that happened during the Renaissance and are in and around that period, and then you will be concluding it, right? So this is the key thing. Now one more thing that I want to highlight over here is I have been evaluating certain copies, and I found that like, see, whenever you are writing an answer, you need to focus that you need to focus first is, see, invigilator will be not having the patience to read the like the whole answer, right? So it will be good if you underline the key words in a particular answer. What happens is, when he sees that keywords, what happens, he directly get to know that okay, fine, this particular person is knowing that particular answer, direct, right? Second is underlying, first is underlining the keywords in the particular answer. Second is substantiating every argument with an example. Try to substantiate it. Not very necessary, but if you have keywords, key examples, put the contemporary examples too. COVID examples, very critical, very much critical. You can use these examples in the particular, like in every answer of yours, right? Because COVID-19 was one of the like a very like a big event that happened, and it changed the society of not only in a particular region but the whole world, and it showed how the social stratification existed in the particular societies. In the case of India, the caste again came up in a prominent, not only the caste thing but also the religion aspect also came up very prominently, the West Indian, the blacks and the whites cases. So use these contemporary examples to substantiate your arguments, right? Underline examples, stick to the word limit, right? You don't have to write always the introduction, body and conclusion. In the short, you can directly come to the point. See, there are two approaches in writing it. You can write either in a essay format. So, if you will see the model answers that I have been providing, that I have provided over there, like you could see there are some answers which are only in paragraphs, right, in essay format, and some are like in a pointers. So you can follow either way. That's your choice and that's your way. But stick to the word limit, right? And don't try to like go extending it, explaining one particular concept too much, right? So what happens is you lose the interest of it. I was evaluating one of the copy, and then in that one question was there about the French Revolution and the contribution of liberty, equality and fraternity in terms of the sociology, and that person just went on to explain that particular French Revolution are too much, right? The French Revolution was not a part of the question. French Revolution was just one aspect of it, but the concept was how the liberty, the notion of liberty, helped in changing the social reality that existed in that particular society, and that went on to change the sociological theories ahead, right? So yeah, so that's it, and I hope you keep writing and keep practicing further. See, marks are not the marks is something that you should not be bothering too much on. Like some people were asking me, there have been less marks that I've been given and all on this answer. See, you have to focus on the aspect of writing, right? What is the key thing that you should improve in it? You all have the contents. You whatever copies that I've evaluated, everyone was very high on content. Everyone was knowing every concept very nicely, but it was only they were lacking in terms of presentation. So you have to work on that part, and I guess that will come easily when you will practice and write more and more, right? So yes, that's it. Thank you from the OPSC study side. Thank you so much.